Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to answer a question that I've been getting a lot. You've probably seen it on a title, and I kind of just wanted to come on here and discuss my thoughts on it and tell you guys what I did so you can kind of figure it out for yourself, what works best for you. To be honest, there's no yes or no, there's no right or wrong to this question, so you kind of have to figure it out for yourself and really see what works best for you. So I'll tell you what I did. If you want to know, then stay tuned. Okay, as for this video, I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I personally do not think it's a good idea to learn 2 languages at a time. But I will do another video where I will explain how you can learn 2 languages at a time if you decide to do so. As I said, there is no correct or wrong answer, there's no yes or no, but I'm just gonna give you a couple of tips in the next video. In this video, I'm really speaking to those people who are having a hard time already learning 1 language. So I'm going to give you the reasons why I do not advise you to learn multiple languages at a time, okay? The first and most important reason for me is immersion. As I always stress in my videos that when learning languages, it's not only about learning the language as such, but it's about learning everything regarding the language, everything that has to do with the language. That means culture, people, country, every single thing. Everything you can get your hands on, basically. Whenever I learn a language, I really try to fully immerse myself in that culture as much as I can. If I can't live in that country specifically, then I try to speak to people, interact with people, film, music, everything, as I already said in my previous videos. So I think if you're learning multiple languages at a time or 2 languages at a time, it's really hard to immerse yourself in all of those cultures. It's really hard to step one foot in Spanish and another foot in Chinese or Japanese. So if you manage to do that, then kudos to you, but I think it's really hard, and I think you should focus on one sole language and culture at a time if you're already having a hard time studying and learning 1 language. A lot of times we can get excited about languages, about wanting to learn multiple languages, but I really think that you should take your time and take 1 step at a time. 1 step and then follow the next one. So when I talk about immersing yourself in that culture, I really mean taking on things from that culture and trying to understand and also kind of adapting those things into your life so that you get a better understanding of the culture, which will ultimately lead you to a better understanding of the language. Once you have that understanding of the language, it's easier, trust me, it's easier to learn the language. If you want to learn Spanish, and you try getting as much Spanish culture into you, as much film, music, and understanding really, and trying to speak and everything. So I think immersion is really the most important argument which would speak against learning multiple languages at a time, because it is nearly impossible to immerse yourself in multiple languages at a time if you're a beginner. I'm not talking about people who are already bilingual or people who are already fluent in 1 language, but people who are starting out to learn languages. It's really hard to have 1 foot at Japanese and another at Korean. I'm not saying that it's impossible to learn multiple languages at a time, but we will talk about that in the next video where I will give you tips how you can actually learn multiple languages at a time. Okay, so second reason why I would not advise you to learn multiple languages at a time is confusion. Obviously, the confusion rate is much higher, obviously, if you learn languages which are similar to each other, languages which are in 1 language family, like Roman languages, for example, Spanish, Italian, Romanian, Portuguese. All those languages create confusion if you learn them at the same time. Trust me, because I did learn Portuguese and Italian kind of at the same time. I studied Italian a bit later. I would really mess up those vocabulary, everything in Italian, because I was like, Italian is so easy, that's like Spanish, it's like Portuguese. So I would mix up words, vocabulary, everything. And my Italian teacher was always like, this is not Spanish class, this is Italian, okay? So as you see, it's really hard to focus on one language and try to keep that vocabulary and everything straight if you're learning another language which is really similar. I would mix up Portuguese words with Italian words and Spanish words with Italian words, because I was thinking, okay, that's kind of similar, so I just throw in some Spanish and that's fine because the Italians will understand me. But it doesn't work like that, obviously. So that's why I'm saying, if you're learning two languages which are really similar, it's hard to separate them and keep a clear mind on those languages. Be focused on Italian, be focused on Portuguese at the same time, because you will eventually end up mixing those languages, mixing up vocabulary. In your head there will just be a bunch of craziness and confusion going on. Trust me on that, because I experienced that too. Again, very similar languages which overlap in vocabulary and expressions and pronunciation are harder to learn at the same time. The third reason why you should probably not consider learning multiple languages at a time is simply your time. I think learning one language already takes time. It can take a lot of time up from your day. I advise you to take that time and concentrate on solely one language instead of trying to split your time to learn multiple languages, because this time you're using to learn the languages basically will not be efficient, as you will not retain everything. As I said, if you learn similar languages, I really advise you to take that time and concentrate on one language. Be focused on that language in all the aspects I mentioned. Like that, your time is actually efficient and it's optimized to the fullest, because you're concentrating on one solely language, which will be the most efficient thing to do in the long run. Once you're kind of established in that language and you have a higher level, let's say intermediate and up, then it's okay to learn another language. But still, in that case, if the languages are related to each other, it can also be difficult. Like in my case, I have intermediate level in Portuguese when I started studying Italian. So I still kind of got confused and mixed up a lot with my Portuguese and Italian. Now that I'm more fluent in Portuguese, it's easier for me to separate Italian and Portuguese fully. I think that's because I basically dedicated my time to Portuguese only, to getting established, and I prioritized my time, my focus, everything on Portuguese first. Then I decided to go on to Italian, and that way it works the best. That's how it worked for me, because I figured when I was studying everything at the same time, I was like, my head was everywhere and nowhere. That's the thing I would advise you to do. Surely you can do it differently if you think you can handle it, but for me, that was the easiest way to do, the easiest way to learn. So I really consider it as a good advice for everyone, because I see that people have a hard time already learning one language. So why would you learn multiple at a time? I mean, there's no rush really. So I don't see the reason. But of course you can do that. As I said, in the next video, I'm gonna give you a couple of tips how you can do that if you want to do so. I hope you liked this video and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you so much for watching. See you.